Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're going to zoom in and focus in a little bit more in depth on how to really detox from a toxic individual, a psychopathic or sociopathic antisocial personality disordered individual, someone who is a malignant narcissist, someone who is a covert narcissist, someone who has an undue amount of negative, toxic, crippling and disabling influence in your life. This caused a lot of struggle, a lot of self-doubt, the emotional roller coaster in your life. Someone who is really sort of, you thought put you on track, but then took you way off track. And now your life is really in a really sort of scattered or shattered place, which is very rough, very raw, oftentimes very painful to be in, very confusing and bewildering to realize that you have perhaps been the target or the scapegoat, or really sort of the supply source to somebody else's needs, and you did not really see what was going on while the love bombing or why this was taking place. And you did not realize that you were being sucked in, or you were being conned or deluded. You thought that this person was one thing, and they turned out to be another. You have learned or exposed them now. You've seen them for what they are, the fact that they might appear to be loyal to you, but they are extremely disloyal, that they have the ability to juggle a number of different personas, masks, personality traits, interests, tones of voice, different talents or different aspects of their facade, and they will really kind of metamorphosize these into different types of people depending on what it is that they want. So these individuals can seem intelligent or endearing or loving or nurturing or supporting. I mean, they can really craft themselves to be exactly what it is that you need, but in the very same breath, go and cheat behind your back, smear your reputation, smear your campaign, create a smear campaign against you, speak words defiling you and your nature and who you are, and they have no love, really. They have no attachment to those people. They're very asexual, relationship. They're very antisocial. And also, the very common term for them is the intra-species predator. Dr. Robert Hare has coined this term, and I feel that is very accurate, because they really they're not only preying on your body, oftentimes physically, but they're preying on your actual life energy. They're preying on people's subconscious. They're preying on their ability to be devoid of conscience, a sense of right or wrong, and the ability to really kind of learn from quote unquote their mistakes, because they don't really feel that they have engaged in any mistakes. They're just living a life without conscience, without a sense of right or wrong, and they will just take whatever it is that they want, and they feel, based on this anti-personality disorder, that they are better than others, that they are smarter than, can get away with more, and they have a very high propensity to live this kind of dangerous, risky, and sometimes what people perceive as a very charming or sort of personality, or what people might experience as charismatic. But it's really their ability to overwhelm and charm and emotionally sabotage other people. And they will do this in a very inhuman way. And inhuman meaning that they will devoid the emotional connection that you have with people, places, things, objects, etc. They will destroy that at the core fabric of your being. And so, and they are able to get into this through a pattern interrupt in a number of different ways, with which they gaslight, brainwash, and distort meanings of objects, things, colors, etc. So, and really what I want to go into in this video here is really the detox of that sort of corruption with which they will put in a very intimate level onto people. They will cause a sort of internal corruption within people, causing them to really devour and disobey their own inner guiding system, really, which keeps them knowing or living along that sense of safety, security, what's right or wrong, or, that whole mechanism, that whole congruency between the body, mind, and spirit. And, even if you're someone who has, naturally you have a lot of ups and downs, you're a risk taker, you're a go-getter, you're might be impulsive, you might go to the extremes. I mean, this is like, you're like the perfect match for this person's needs, because they already see that they've got a little bit of wiggle room that they can really pry open and get in there and really manipulate those types of people, because it's like a perfect match for them. Perfect match meaning that you already have the foundation with which they can get in and really do a lot of destruction. They see that, based on your personality, you may be very kind, loving, intelligent. You might have a high emotionality or, personality flair about you, where you don't always see, that this person could be manipulative of you. Or furthermore, you feel like, you've given yourself the story that I can handle this. And you might be very intelligent and intuitive as part of your personality. In other words, you can kind of see, your own, we're born into this world with a lot of knowledge. And, even as children, you have a lot of knowledge. And, it's not readily apparent because you can't vocalize it, you can't speak it, but children are very perceptive on a very nonverbal level. So they can see what is right or wrong without being told what's right or wrong. They intuitively sense it. As people, we have, in the quantum field, we have a lot of information and knowledge which we've brought, with us, that are kind of built into what Carl Jung might call the collective unconscious. You have so much knowledge. You have libraries and libraries of information already built into your body right when you get here. And, it's, education, educare, is bringing out sort of that internal gift or that talent, which is latent and really kind of built in and inner wired within your being. And not enough of this is talked about in kindergarten, first grade. When you have a child, this is not part of healthcare, where they say, okay, you've got this intense, multi-level being that, you're now, going to be interacting with, or who you are. I mean, this is not the kind of topics that we have, but this is really what is real. And so if you're that type of person who naturally, intuitively has this sort of perception, children will be very perceptive and like sponges with their parents. And they'll also be very protective because those are their caregivers. And so they'll be able to see and instinctively know and feel and understand if their parents are doing something right or something wrong. In other words, they'll be very sensitive. They'll be like, why are you eating all the fat on that steak? A child who's, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, doesn't have to go through health education, but they know instinctively, inherently, that food that they're eating on their plate is toxic, unhealthy, not healthy, not good for them. Just like the child who, goes like this, if you ever see an infant, at a large musical festival, some parents, have the earphones, but, other children whose parents they don't know, the babies are going like this. They're naturally covering up their ears. They have natural protective mechanisms. They know that that's harmful. That noise, that loud drum, that screeching guitar is painful. So they'll go like this. Just like children know, they'll become addicted to sugar, but they also know instinctively, through the smell of cigarettes. Cigarettes aren't good, and they might tell their parents not to smoke. Or they know instinctively by the smell of the alcohol, they're drinking stiff martinis at 5, and the child knows that's not healthy. Like there's something wrong there. Children are very perceptive, and they become, attuned to what is right or wrong very early. And of course, the parents, they don't want to be called out by their kids. They don't want their kids telling them, why don't you eat healthier? Why are you wearing those clothes? It doesn't make you look attractive. Or why are you wearing those clothes? That's so stiff and rigid. Why are you always frowning all the time and then putting on a smile over here? Why are you abusing me, but then you're laughing over here? Why are you hitting, slapping me, and shaming me and making me feel like there's something wrong with me, but then you're going over here and doing all this with the business or the neighborhood or your life, your tennis buddies, your golf buddies, what have you. So realize that children are very perceptive to this, and oftentimes it is this truth, it is this awareness which is called to be muffled down or sort of invalidated. It's caused to be deafened to really your inner spirit, if you will. And, the spirit of Jesus Christ, those things which move you in your life, that which you personally must name and own. So it is the detoxification of that presence within you, which is basically, a pure awareness. It's a heightened level of consciousness. It's an awareness. And if you're lucky, you'll call into your life more of that positive, pure state through, the acts of what I'm going to describe to you right now to help you purify. And thank you for staying through this video. We're talking really about purifying. And it is very important that you understand that there's a toxic behavior to these individuals. Toxic meaning it's creating a chemical sludge or really a chemical, wiring and firing within you, which is not healthy. And the toxicity oftentimes is a very lethal combination of, dopamine, which means, pleasure-seeking chemicals, the oxytocin, the feel-good chemicals, the pheromones, the sexual arousal, your sexual energy. You don't have to be in a sexual relationships for this energy to be called forth. But then, they will also combine it with fear, shame, and sort of a very lethal disrespect where it's getting you to violate your own sense of self or your own sense of standards, right or wrong, or even, larger right or wrong in general. They'll get you to become attracted to something which is very perverted through violation of your boundaries, the risk-taking, etc. And so this creates a real toxic sludge within your body, a very sort of hyper-vigilant state where you have to become like an investigator. You feeling like you're on trial. And it can only be quenched by this individual. Realize that is the error message. When you're receiving an error message like a virus on a computer, when you're feeling like you have to go back to this person, fight it out, hammer it out, rectify the situation, come to closure. If you've exposed them, you have exposed them. You have all the information that you need to get out. You've seen what you need to see, but oftentimes people don't want to believe it, so they leave the wound festering for years and years, days and days, months and months, weeks and weeks, and yet it is what it is. And you need to really, pick up the boots by the bootstraps and say, okay, this is toxic. This is negative. This is caustic. This is really, nucleic acids, which are now in my body, which are now going to become degenerative in nature and are going to create disease and more destruction, disability, and mayhem. And I don't want that evil force, that destructive force to live in me. And I can feel it bringing me down, weighting me down, feeling like a heaviness, feeling a lower sense of self, because remember, the toxic person who wants to be in control, who wants to see you destroyed, look, they just won. Do not give them that flag of victory. Do not give them that ownership over you. You have power and dominion over your own cells through the transactions, all your DNA, the mitochondria, the oxygen that's coming in and out of your lungs. You have control over that. It is you which is taking in oxygen. It is you which is absorbing the sunlight. It is you which feels, the softness of the rose petals. It is you that feels the blades of grass underneath your feet. It is you which decides which comes in and which goes out of you. It is you that allows either, to pass through the membrane of your personal, boundaries. You have control over that. You are the gatekeeper. So when you see this individual, do not let them in. Do not be like a sponge and take in their energy. Squeeze it out and really use that role that is God-given, the higher consciousness, the creative force, the chi, the really creator of everything that man cannot create. So the creator of the water, the creator of the sun, the creator of the soil, the creator of, all the, sacred geometry, that creator, which is above and beyond man, is what is filling up your body and what is filling up all your cells. Really, that is the creator of those dynamics that are taking place at in billions and billions and billions energetically at this moment as we speak, the cells, millions of cells are dying and being regenerated by this life force within you. So call forth that life force and realize that it's a very high energy. So if it feels, very, excited or happy or enthusiastic, and that is what you have been denying yourself because, you're not giving yourself permission to heal. Who could heal this quickly from this person? Yes, you can heal that quickly. It's a permission based. I'm letting them go. It is what it is. I'm now launching into this life force. I'm now allowing the quantum field to come into my body space, and I'm allowing it to cleanse out that toxic energy, that negative anti-life force energy, and I'm allowing it to really be cleared out of my entire body, my environment, the interactions. And furthermore, what's very important is that it's cleared out of the interactions that you now continue from this moment forward. Because remember, these individuals are parasitic in nature, and they prey on your energy. They prey on your life force energy. And it's a very precious commodity that you have in yourself. And I hope you relate to and understand how precious that energy it is, and not to take it for granted. Get in touch with that higher sense of being. And I know that this is an intense video, but I'm going to go there right now, and we're going to wrap it up in a little bit of time here. But I really want you to understand how important it is to detox from a consciousness level. So that means from an awareness, your sense of being, your place of being. Yes, you have a place of being. We are so taught and programmed to be human doings, human buyings, human consumers, all that, you need to now realize and call into forth your need to be a being right now, which is aligned with that sacred creator, which has created the beautiful roses, who has created the magnificent oceans, who has created, the salt water, who has created the sand, who has created the very seedlings which become the embryo, which become the magnificent great redwood seas. Become really in tune with that, and in experience and in presence with that, because it is that same life force which is within you. That magnificent, mystical, metaphysical life force is also running your life and has created the cells in your body. I mean, those crystalline sacred geometries are what is within you as well. And when we talk about light, it's a light. It's literally it has an energy. And so I want you to be able to stay in that energy. And even though it's difficult, even though it's very positive, energetic, enthusiastic, and it feels different from what you are used to, I want you to get into that space and get into that real clean, clear, which is a higher level consciousness, which is just you giving yourself a chance to be. And it's a very high level state, which means a high level vibration, meaning it's moving at a very high rate, which is an energy where you become more of a being rather than matter. So it's a sense of being and energetic, and you're feeling just like a life radiating or moving from you or generating from you or flowing through you, or like a very high level engine that's flowing through you. And you're now more in tune with that wave energy versus the particle energy, which is the particle energy, which is that which is kind of trapped up, which is stuck, which is blocked. It's kind of like being in traffic and you're hating it. When you're in traffic and you can't go anywhere, you're hating it. You are stuck. You can't get around this. You can't get around that. And that is very much what the toxicity is like in your energy, your life force field. So that is the presence. That is the presence that you want to get out, where you're feeling that stuck energy, which oftentimes, it's a consciousness that you now need to tap into and then give yourself permission to release that, and to deny it and to refuse it, to have that high level thinking, high level consciousness, and you're now then in touch with the universal law, which is the attraction factor, where you're now attracting good and positive to you. And you're now living by that universal law, which is, the human law, which, or the erroneous law, which had attracted this person to you, or, had you caught up in the perception that this was, your godsend, when it really was, a pathological personality disordered entity, which had created all this toxic ramification in your life. Realize that that is at a whole different law. You have a law above that within you. And I want you to tap into that field. And I want you to tap into that energy and realize that you have the ability for metacognition to tap into that and place a law over that. So you're actually above it. So when I say take the high road, it's the higher consciousness. It's a whole really higher state of being where you really can almost feel the cells within you begin to expand and uplift and really create more of a space in your body. And you can feel it just taking your life and energizing it. And oftentimes it is that space which you have not permitted yourself to live in while engaging in this negative toxic relationship. So we're going to wrap it up here. And from that space, I want you to really get into the cleansing of that which you put in your mouth. Do the flush with a lot of very pure liquids, a lot of very pure foods. Get rid of all the junk. And you know what I mean by junk. Throw it out. If you've wasted money, good. If you have that consciousness over money that caused that rippling effect of all the crap that you had then ingested in your life, the bags of chocolate, the cases of beer, the drugs, the alcohol, the marijuana, whatever it is that you were abusing to anesthetize yourself, it's keeping you down. It's not the solution. Get rid of all that right now. Realize that you're calling into being a much higher vibration, but more so that which you really truly want to be and have and energized in your life. And give yourself that space to dream from, to live from. And in terms of having, fun in your life, it is from this space where I really want you to go and realize and take that positive energy into those other experiences, whether it's music, whether it's travel, whether it's your other purchases, in your life, in your career. I want you to take that pure sort of higher level awareness into your other transactions, and then tune into it and allow it to, just say, okay, I'm going to listen to it now. I'm going to open up my ears to that voice, and I'm going to allow it, and I'm going to tap into it, and I'm going to allow my higher self to rule and guide me and direct my interactions now, rather than falling prey to that lower role where I was victimized and, the people pleaser, and, I can take that risk, and, I don't care if I destroy myself. You'll see that you'll see the errors of your ways when you're in that consciousness. You'll say, yep, that's where I started doing this. This is where I started picking up the 14 credit cards. This is when I started drinking the alcohol. This is when I started thinking suicidal thoughts. That is nothing but the sludge trying to get me. I'm not giving it attention anymore. I'm now identifying it for what it is. This is just that dangerous mix of cocktails, which is trying to get the best of me. I'm done with it. I'm slugging down some water. I'm going for a high power walk. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go to and do some volunteer work at the shelter, or with the elderly, or those people who are gifted. I'm gonna go now and follow up with Mensa Society, or I'm gonna interact with higher level, really interesting, really prodigy people who if you're now into the place where you want to see talented people, start researching prodigies, the work of Beethoven, the work of Mozart, some of the beautiful designers of buildings or arts or jewelry, something which is really fantastic on a higher level, but on that positive side, and alchemize your being to coordinate with that and still have your fun in that place. It is peace and harmony with you here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.